I dressed as a family doctor. Originally, I just wanted to watch the bloody plot up close. Unexpectedly, Mr. Bob put me against the wall and asked me, "Lovey sickness, can you cure it?" Who? The boss looked at me fixedly. You. Excited hearts, trembling hands. Today is the day when the heroine is launched. I've been waiting for this day ever since I woke up, because this means that I will be able to watch this beautiful love of the crazy woman up close in the future. What's more, I was able to work overtime a lot. It's not that I'm perverted, it's that the boss gives too much. 5 times the overtime pay. And there are bonuses at every turn. Where is this male and female protagonist? This is my food and clothing parents. But now the plot seems to be a little wrong. Just as I waited until I began to doze off, the door was pushed open with a bang. I was so excited that the flies rubbed my hands. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. This is a romance novel in which an ancient tyrant always falls in love with a pure and stubborn little white flower. The male and female protagonists meet on a rainy night. The female protagonist fainted in front of the male protagonist's car, and was taken back to the villa by the male protagonist. Then the family doctor, who was me, came in. After rescuing the heroine, the man and woman were left to fight with each other and open their hearts on this stormy night. Ball will always spit out classic lines. Damn, this woman, so special. Payne Flynn looked horrified and a little indignant. Damn, I've met a porcelain. You come and have a look. I looked at Payne Flynn with a frowning brow, dumbfounded. Isn't that not quite right? The old housekeeper trembled with excitement, and the old tears flowed. This is the first time you have taken a woman back to the old mansion. Young man, good guys, they're all crying trills. In contrast, I deeply reflect on my acting skills. Payne Flynn had a hellish look on her face. Are you all right? I brought her back because I was afraid that I would catch a cold. Remember, the information must be asked, especially work and property rights. The butler stiffened when he heard the last sentence. I was dumbfounded, too. Payne Flynn's tone was cold, and she even gritted her teeth, a little. I hit my little blog, and want to play dead. There are no doors. Payne Flynn's little beau is the Lamborghini he just acquired, modified and custom made. He was still dangling in front of me when he got the key. I have only one opinion on this, TSK. Evil capitalists. The heroine woke up. She rushed in barefoot, her hair scattered, like an elf who had strayed in. The fawn-like eyes flashed with confusion and confusion. Of course, the above is the description in the plot. All I could see was her sparkling ultra-thick filter. Is worthy of being the heroine? This light is even brighter than the bath bomb. This can't fool Payne Flynn. I quietly swallowed the melon seeds, and watched this bloody drama of pure white flowers, and domineering presidents falling in love at first sight. But Payne Flynn's tone was light, awake. Let's lose money. Don't say I'm dumbfounded. Even the heroine was stunned. After a while, she clenched her fists, half disappointed and half aggrieved. Capitalists like you are thinking about money in your head. Vulgar. No, money is still so horizontal. I clicked and slurped, stimulated by this embarrassing line, and closed my eyes, unable to bear to look directly. When I was glancing around, I suddenly noticed the heroine's hand hanging down at her side. She tugged at the hem of her dress tightly, her toes clenched and loosened, as if she was trying to endure something. But soon, this little doubt was shattered by the heroine's lines. I can work for you to pay off your debts. Don't worry, I won't run. I'm Bowen Reed. It's coming, it's coming. The heroine's classic lines. Next, Mr. Ball will be impressed by her resolute character, and then the two will fall in love with each other for a long time. Payne Flynn suddenly said, "What do you mean by that look on your face?" I looked at him and froze. It's over. It's exposed. No, he's sick. Right. Why don't you look at the heroine and look at me? I put my head down and added, Payne Flynn, I think she's being sincere. Passionate assists. I'll sit at the main table for the wedding banquet in the future. Okay. Payne Flynn nodded. Okay, then you can help her pay it back. No, you're sick. There is a debtor, and I am not 205. Besides, who's going to join your play? I was so frightened that the melon seeds fell to the ground, and I quickly waved my hand. No, I didn't mean that. The heroine stepped forward and stood in front of me. This is a matter between you and me. You don't want to involve the innocent. If you want to kill or chop, listen to it. I didn't hold back. It's a society under the rule of law now. And it's really not as serious as you say. Can the world of fiction be lawless? I don't allow it. Payne Flynn looked at Bowen Reed impatiently. I'll let my lawyer talk to you about compensation. Bowen Reed gritted his teeth, his expression aggrieved. How many stinky money are great? You're insulting my dignity. Payne Flynn looked like a ghost, then just call the police. Astounded. There is still a way to solve the problem with the alarm. I watched with a shocked look as the heroine was carried out by the bodyguards. I feel very sorry for the overtime pay that I haven't received yet. Payne Flynn suddenly hooked her hand at me, then leaned straight on my shoulder, her voice weak. Afra Jesse, I have a headache. No, you kid wasn't at this level when he first spoke. I subconsciously pressed his temples. Well, massage time. Payne Flynn pursed her lips. Count you overtime. A good man has a safe life. I massaged hard. And 15 minutes later, I heard Payne Flynn's heavy breathing. Just as I was about to quietly get up and leave, Payne Flynn's white hand quickly pressed on my wrist, and the hot temperature on the fingertips startled me. The next second, the world was spinning, and I was already in Payne Flynn's arms. He hugged me from behind, and leaned back on the couch. His cheeks flushed unusually, his eyes half squinted. Afra Jesse, you're so comfortable to hold, so soft. What a tiger wolf word. I stiffened, and I felt the burning breath lap against my neck, causing a tingling sensation. Damn, the heat on Payne Flynn seems to have spread to me. As the temperature rises, the air around it seems to become viscous. I was so dizzy that I looked down at Payne Flynn buried in my neck, looking like a poor overboard puppy. Afra Jesse. I couldn't tell if he was calling my name, Afra Jesse, or asking for a kiss. Without waiting for me to react, the old butler went online. He stood by the door, still with the same tearful expression, modulated and abrupt, sonorous and powerful. This is the first time the young master has come into contact with the opposite sex. This woman is really not ordinary. Me. Something is wrong. This is very wrong. Grandpa housekeeper, why don't you put on your reading glasses and take a closer look at who I am? Can't you tell the difference between the heroine and the passerby? I'm embarrassed to read the lines. I pushed Payne Flynn's head away and called for the bodyguards to carry him back to the room. Although he did not contribute, he accompanied the whole process. The main theme is effortless earning overtime hours. We are full of wisdom when we work as workers. Can't get a good night's sleep? I was picked up early the next morning and followed Payne Flynn to the office. How else to say that his kid is the male protagonist? This physical fitness is really good. I go to bed late and wake up early every day, and my hairline has not receded. Thinking of the tangled plot of, she ran away from him, she couldn't fly, that was entangled in the plot of 3 million words, I began to seriously think about getting a little minoxidil for Payne Flynn. Still in a daze. Soon a group of people squeezed into the elevator. I staggered back 2 steps, trying to shrink myself into the corner. Payne Flynn reached out and circled me and the wall in a safe zone. Leaning against the cold elevator wall, looking up at Payne Flynn's warm and hard pectoral muscles, the inner lining of the suit was stretched open by bulging muscles. It felt like the buttons were going to hit my face in the next second. Oh, is worthy of being the actor? And this infrastructure is to carry the fight. I snorted silently, stumbling a little. Payne Flynn, you. I was too embarrassed to finish the second half of the sentence. Your pectoral muscles are on me. The next second, there was a commotion in the crowd. The crowd subconsciously backed away and crashed Payne Flynn directly into me. This time it was really buried in his chest muscles. Astounded. It's soft. What's even more shocking is that in such a crowded situation, the heroine actually bumped directly into Payne Flynn's back from outside the crowd. The fate of the male and female protagonists was the reincarnation of a magnet in the last life? Bowen Reed exclaimed, looked at Payne Flynn and instantly looked like a fried rabbit. It's you. It's a bad luck. Okay, let's make the plot of the happy enemy more violent. I excitedly poked my head out of Payne Flynn's arm, and was caught by him, the next second. Is it polite for you to put someone under your armpit? I struggled repeatedly, trying to poke my head out, but failed, all the way to the top president's office. Everyone has already gone the same. Payne Flynn just lifted me out of the elevator like a chicken. Along with it, there is also Bowen Reed, who is like a dish. I'm confused. No. What are you trying to do with me? Am I also part of your play? Payne Flynn said in a deep tone. What are you doing here? My lawyer should have already discussed the matter of compensation with you. I'm here to work, Bowen Reed sneered. If I knew this company was a black-hearted capitalist like you, I wouldn't have come. This is a misnomer. Payne Flynn is a little bit hairy, but she's still a nice person. Every holiday has employee benefits, and Valentine's Day has it. I remembered that, when I got the flowers. I saw my grandfather, a housekeeper in his 70s, also holding a bouquet of flowers, saying that it was given by Payne Flynn. While I was reminiscing, I heard Payne Flynn dial the internal line. Personnel, come up, take people away. Dismissal. By the way, the internship period just started. No compensation is required. Don't say Bowen Reed is dumbfounded. I'm dumbfounded too. No. Why doesn't this play according to the routine? Shouldn't he have taken the opportunity to argue with Bowen Reed, and then feel the long-lost happiness in getting along, and say the phrase, "This woman is so interesting"? Is this kind of classic sentence of the boss? Soon, the plot is like a wild horse that has taken off its reins, and it grows by leaps and bounds in a form that I can't understand at all. Like now, Payne Flynn fished me to this party with the bait of 300,000 bonus for field work. After facing Bowen Reed, who was dressed as a waiter, I realized that this should have been the time when the relationship between the hero and heroine in the plot was quickly warmed up. If I'm not mistaken, at this time, the vicious female partner was on the line, bullying the heroine fiercely, and then the heroine fought back strongly, was bumped into by the male protagonist, and said the classic line again, "This woman is so special." But I looked around and didn't see who had the potential to be a vicious female partner. Everyone looked very busy, talking to each other, talking about the project, until Payne Flynn took my hand, and the deep voice sounded like a cello. "You're looking good today." My heart beat a wrong beat, and I suddenly reacted. Could it be? The difficult task of the vicious female partner has fallen on my head. Depend on. My family has been honest people for generations, but I can't do this kind of difficult work. I immediately shook off Payne Flynn's hand, excused myself to go to the bathroom, and slipped into the corner for dessert. Soon I felt that something was wrong, and one by one, there was a line of sight full of strong desire, as if I was examining an object, and I was seen from beginning to end. I turned my head sharply and faced a balding middle-aged man with a big belly. The other party didn't feel guilty at all when I grabbed the bag, but walked towards me with a wine glass, took the opportunity to rub my arm, and wanted to rub his whole piece of protruding tumor on me. Isn't this the little lover that Payne Flynn brought? It's really hard. My hand holding the dessert trembled slightly. This can't be the cannon fodder in the original plot, who was obscene with the female protagonist, and then beaten by the male protagonist. Right. But is this cannon fodder blind? I'm just a simple passer-by eating a creamy cherry cake. Before I could react, the other party's greasy hand had already touched it, and I was so frightened that I smashed the wine glass on his head. There was a crisp pop. Does it sound good? It's a pig's brain. The other party's little hair was wet with red wine, and he looked funny. "You dare to do it to me? Do you know who I am?" he said as he clamped my hand, and tried to pull me into his arms, laughing to death. My body is very weak, and my strength is not as strong as mine. With a simple flick of my hand, I staggered him a few steps, and almost fell to the ground. He barely managed to steady. "A quilted thing dares to do something to me. You wait, I'll kill you sooner or later." Wait a minute, this line is so familiar. Behind him, Payne Flynn's cold voice said, "Who is Glenn trying to kill?" I'm even more stupid. Damn, Payne Flynn's phrase is more familiar. Is this the hero saves beauty in the original plot? Is the plot crazy? Glenn pointed at me. "Payne Flynn, your guy hit me out of the blue. You'll have to give an explanation." Payne Flynn was expressionless. "What do you want?" "It's just a little love. Why don't you give it to me? I have a better exchange with Payne Flynn." He looked extraordinarily excited. Payne Flynn didn't speak. I secretly pinched my palm. Even if the previous development is the same as the heroine, I'm just a passerby. I actually had a heartbeat just now. Payne Flynn's silence at the moment was more like a tacit approval. My heart tightened suddenly, and I felt a little sore. I pursed my lips and secretly pressed my chest. Is going to cover the disproportionate deer in my heart directly? In the silence of Payne Flynn, Glenn became more and more smug and held out his hand directly to me. Let's go, I'll kill you tonight. I picked up the champagne bottle on the table, and slammed it straight at his bare scalp. The moment the wine bottle fell, I had already made a plan in my heart. I didn't take this passer-by and went back to my hometown to farm. In the next second, 2 bottles appeared on Glenn's body at the same time. Payne Flynn was holding a bottle of red wine, heavier than the one in my hand, and hit him in the side of the face. At the same time, Payne Flynn's voice was cold. Let me kill you first. Glenn fell straight to the ground. I didn't expect such a fat-headed, big-eared guy to be so crispy. I subconsciously, looking at Payne Flynn, this is justified defense, isn't it? Payne Flynn chuckled, like a spring breeze melting the ice, revealing a familiar warmth. It's good to eliminate violence. Such a handsome face, so beautiful Chinese. I don't know what Payne Flynn said, but after the bodyguard carried the person out, no one else came to trouble. I sat down and ate dessert in peace, and heard a few other people whispering gossip. The one who just came in with Payne Flynn is beautiful, isn't it? That thin waist looks really exciting. Otherwise, Payne Flynn will be blessed. With your toes, you can guess that the object of their lust is the heroine Bowen Reed. If I didn't hear it, it wouldn't matter. And when I heard them use such disgusting words to describe a girl, my fists were stiff. In line with the concept of, hitting one is fighting, hitting two is also fighting. Just when I clenched my glass, and was about to exert my strength, the voice behind me was already a little irrepressible excited. I heard it's Payne Flynn's personal doctor. Doctor, no wonder a pair of hands are so good looking. TSK, that's a lot of energy. Say less. Payne Flynn tucks it away like a precious bead. Me. I pinched myself hard to make sure that I was the object of their lust. Listening to them boasting from my waist to my ass, I felt like I was on pins and needles, like a man's back, like a fish in my throat. Is the world crazy? After a moment of silence, I plucked up the courage and looked back at the men. Did you just say me? A few drunkards stared at each other as if they had seen a ghost, and they dropped their glasses and ran. One holds on to the other and runs away. I froze in place, confused. The atmosphere was just so bizarre. After I had eaten and drunk enough, I decided to leave alone. As soon as I walked to the back door, I heard 2 people talking. A woman wrapped in fur looked at what was in her hand. Does this medicine really work? The man's voice was a little hoarse. Don't worry. Guaranteed to take Payne Flynn. When the raw rice is cooked into cooked rice, you can arrange someone to take pictures, and our cooperation project will be stable. The man scoffed. It's as if you've sacrificed a lot. When I first watched Payne Flynn, my eyes were straight and I thought I didn't know. The 2 of them were cold and squirming, not knowing what to say. I never thought that I would encounter such an incident when I was slipping away in advance. In the plot, this is the strongest assist of the hero and heroine. Drugged Payne Flynn grabbed Bowen Reed, and the relationship between the 2 grew by leaps and bounds after a night out. I should have left silently as if I hadn't heard anything. After all, I'm just a passerby. But when I think of Payne Flynn, I always feel like I'm stuck in vinegar-soaked cotton. It was sore, swollen, and uncomfortable. There seemed to be 2 villains arguing in my head. One crossed his waist. What's the matter with you? You're just a passerby. Payne Flynn was meant to fall in love with Bowen Reed, and she didn't need to be fooled around. The other villain pursed his lips. If they really love each other, there are 100 ways. Why do they have to use such a plot to show sweetness? Another sneered. To put it so righteously, you just can't bear Payne Flynn. Admit it, you, a passerby, have already moved your mind that you shouldn't have moved? I rubbed my face hard and turned to run. After hurrying there, I went straight to the room in the plot. I just delayed a lot of time, and I hope Payne Flynn hasn't done anything illegal under the dictation of drugs. It is illegal to go against a woman's will, whether sober or not. I'm sure Payne Flynn isn't that kind of person. He doesn't want to be like that. After thinking about it all the time, I was startled by the darkness inside when I pushed open the door to my room. In order to prevent seeing something that I shouldn't see, I didn't turn on the light and half groped my way into the room. Soon a familiar, muffled gasp was heard. By the moonlight, I saw Payne Flynn slumped on the carpet. He seemed to be very uncomfortable, half lying on the edge of the bed, and with the sound of unbearable breathing, I could clearly see his flushed face. Before I could finish speaking, like locked prey, Payne Flynn flew me straight to the ground. Fortunately, he seems to be a little sane. Payne Flynn reached out and put her hand on the back of my head as she fell. Otherwise I would have been knocked unconscious. I subconsciously reached out and tried to push him away. Under the palm of his hand was a blazing heat. Payne Flynn was like a patient with a high fever. Only those eyes were shining, staring at me with a bad look. You're here. The voice was hoarse, but it was full of excitement. I shook my hand in front of his eyes. Ahem, Payne Flynn, it's me, Afra Jessie. I'm here, prevent you from going down the path of lawlessness. Before I could finish the second half of the sentence, Payne Flynn suddenly lowered her head, and her soft lips fell on the corners of my mouth, quickly pressed against my lips and licked slowly, carefully trying to pry a hole open. I don't know how long this inexplicable kiss lasted. Just when I suspected I was going to faint, Payne Flynn let go of me. I took 2 deep breaths, and I didn't know what to say for a moment as Payne Flynn seemed to be calming down. Pulled at his collar a little awkwardly. You can help me up first. It's a cold carpet. The next second, Payne Flynn picked me up with one hand. I had no choice but to clamp his waist with my thighs to prevent myself from falling. Scared to death. Don't let go. Payne Flynn's breathing was louder. I felt the abnormally high body temperature on my inner thighs, and suddenly realized that he was drugged at the moment. Good news. The heroine Bowen Reed is not in the room. Bad news. There was, and it was just me and Payne Flynn in the room. I was so scared that I couldn't speak clearly, and I stumbled. Payne Flynn, calm down. I'll take you to take a shower. You're all adults, and I know you're going to be having a hard time right now, but don't be in a hurry to get sick first. Put me down first, and I'll get you some medicine. As Payne Flynn's breathing became heavier and heavier, my mind was completely shut down, and I babbled a lot of things, in an attempt to ease the scorching heat of the moment. I was quickly put on bed by Payne Flynn, and expertly wrapped in a quilt to form a sushi roll. He rolled and I struggled. Payne Flynn, be sober. I'm Afra Jessie. You kid, open your eyes and see. I'm a family doctor you hired with a monthly salary of 100,000 yuan. Payne Flynn turned a deaf ear, as if she was performing some very sacred ritual, and finally hugged me in the form of a strip, revealing a mouthful of big white teeth. This way it won't be cold. Hiss. It's me who gets dirty. I'm sorry. I was so wrapped that I could only move my mouth. Okay, Payne Flynn, I'm not cold. Are you particularly hot? Hurry to the bathroom and take a shower. If the shower is not enough, it is recommended that you put a tank of cold water. 9 times out of 10, you'll catch a cold, but that's okay. The cold spirit in my medicine box hasn't expired yet. Your physical fitness, strong. There should be no fever. I'm speechless, because Payne Flynn held his flushed face with one hand. She knelt on the edge of the bed and looked at me quietly. Her eyes lit up. Afra Jessie, I don't know why. I always had a delusion. He was like a dragon guarding a treasure, and I am his only treasure. Payne Flynn half squinted her eyes, and pressed her face into the palm of my hand. It's hot. Afra Jessie touches it. It's comfortable. The palm of the hand was a blazing temperature, and it was frighteningly hot. I was glued by his drawing in eyes, and my mind was messed up, following his movements, like touching a puppy, from cheeks to jaws, to collarbones, to chest. Payne Flynn stood up impatiently, leaning over me, a slimy whisper in my ear. The air was like melted maltose, hot and sticky. My mind was a mush. He bit my other hand, a small tooth mark, more like a puppy. I was so tired that I fell asleep. When I woke up, I saw Payne Flynn sleeping next to me, and I felt a little complicated. It's too complicated, and I can't understand it in my passerby's head. So I moved my sore wrist and slipped away quietly, sneaked back into the villa to pack my bags, and get ready for Payne Flynn to chase me away. But before I could finish it, the door was pushed open. Payne Flynn was out of breath and looked anxious. My eyes fell on the half-received suitcase, and I suddenly lowered my eyes. Where are you going? Resign. I noticed his expression. Tentatively. Why did you come back in such a hurry? Payne Flynn pursed her lips. Drink too much. Dizzy. I was afraid that someone would take advantage of me, so I hurried back. When I heard the words, take advantage, I wanted to refute it, but I held back. Still weak-hearted. So, you don't remember yesterday's events? Payne Flynn was expressionless. What? Did something happen yesterday? I was relieved to hear this answer. I don't know what it's like. What the hell was I thinking? Of course, the treatment of passers-by and heroines is not the same. I should be thankful that Payne Flynn doesn't remember anything so that I can continue with this high-paying job. And so the time passed. It's just that the progress of this period is getting more and more wrong. I even felt as if the content I had mastered after awakening was pirated. The heroine didn't work in Payne Flynn's company at all. Instead, she went to another company, did a good job, and even reached a project cooperation as a project person, and the company is naturally much more powerful than an insignificant personal secretary in the original plot. Also, I heard that at the banquet that day, Payne Flynn drugged someone else in the first foot, and Bowen Reed left in the second foot, under the pretext that the company's lights were not turned off. The timing was too coincidental, and those plots that originally belonged to the heroine made me run into them. For example, at this moment, I was fishing in the pantry, and my mind was full of, why did Payne Flynn bring me to the company, and stood in front of me arrogantly to persuade me not to worry, fly on the branches and become a phoenix. She told me not to be presumptuous in the company based on Payne Flynn's preference, and said that people like me would grow old and decrepit sooner or later, she said passionately, and I subconsciously glanced in the mirror. There was nothing wrong with it. It was still a mediocre appearance belonging to passerby. She was the one who had the problem. I finally found an opportunity to interrupt her. I'm just Payne Flynn's family doctor. She gave me a blank look and continued to output. I was dizzy and annoyed. Subconsciously asked, are you jealous? You are not related to Payne Flynn. In what capacity do you use to warn me? I'm telling you, you know a little bit and you should please me. Otherwise, be careful that I blow the wind on the pillow and cut you directly. I tell you, you Payne Flynn love me to death. Drink some coffee. You are arrogant. Provoke me. You are unpredictable. Didn't you say I'm a vixen? I'll tell you, I'm still there. No matter how old and decrepit, no matter how old I am more youthful and energetic than you. Payne Flynn was so obsessed with me that she privately called me dear and careful. You know this kind of fun. You. Suddenly a familiar laugh came from the door, and it was obvious that he couldn't hold it back. My brain crashed as I watched Payne Flynn walk in, put her arm around my shoulder, and shouted, honey, be careful with your liver. I shuddered and tried to run away after the secretary, but Payne Flynn pressed me directly to the edge of the pantry counter, and pressed against my waist. Wasn't it loud when you said that? The next second, Payne Flynn hugged me to the table with one hand, and smiled. Isn't it to blow the wind on your pillow? I love to hear it. Come on. Can't come at all. I tried to jump off the countertop, and ended up being held tighter by Payne Flynn. In the middle of the push, the pantry door opened, and Bowen Reed's voice said, I have this project. Her eyes fell on the two of us, and she suddenly stopped the conversation, and closed the door decisively. Sorry to interrupt. You go on. I was anxious and confused, and blurted out, damn, your heroine misunderstood. As soon as I finished speaking, I met Payne Flynn's meaningful eyes, and I suddenly realized that I had slipped out. I racked my brains, and tried to quibble. I've got someone I like. He looked at me steadily, the tip of his nose at each other, exchanging gentle breaths. At the same time, I felt a soft touch on my lips. One touch to part. Payne Flynn distanced herself again, her expression as usual. Do you hate me like this? Some people seem to be quite calm, but in fact, the tips of their ears are red. I looked at Payne Flynn's flushed face and my head heated. Actually, it's pretty comfortable. The words that followed were wrapped in the sudden aroma of plants and trees, and all disappeared between the lips and teeth. As I got caught up in the gooey kiss, I heard Payne Flynn's voice. Actually, I remember everything that night. I took advantage of Payne Flynn's breathing and pushed him away, and I ran away. Sounds scummy, but my mind was a mess of thoughts. Payne Flynn remembers. It's also so embarrassing. Robbing the heroine man. Don't sentence you. If you remember, I was so stupid to be alone after that day, and pretend that nothing happened. I began to seriously reflect on whether I had awakened wrong, or maybe I had some kind of mental illness that led to the mistaking of this world for a Mary Sue book. Total fiction. With my own medical skills, I deduced anything that could happen. Finally, I got on the bus and prepared to go to the hospital to hang up a psychiatric department. At critical moments, we still have to believe in science. Sitting honestly in the hospital corridor with the registration slip and waiting. Boredom. Lai Jong looked up and saw the TV screen in the hospital hallway. The title of the live broadcast is shocking. The president of Flynn Group appeared at the airport, suspected of looking for his lover. It was followed by 5 exclamation points. My hands trembled, and I clicked in to see it. Payne Flynn was still wearing the clothes of the time, looking a little tired, looking at the camera, like, it's the poor puppy that was discarded. Afra Jessie, come back. I don't force you. I just like you very much. If you don't like me for the time being, it's okay. I can chase you slowly. Afra Jessie. When I heard it, it was the name of an ordinary passerby, but it came out of Payne Flynn's mouth, like a deep affection that couldn't be dissolved. I have an impression of this paragraph. In the original plot, the male protagonist chased his wife to the crematorium, and in order to prevent Bowen Reed from leaving, he forced all the planes to stop. Domineering. But Penny, fortunately, Payne Flynn still has brains, and didn't do such crazy stupid things. If you really spend money to stop all the planes, you will lose a lot of money. I hurriedly called him. The live video of Payne Flynn was still playing on the phone. Everyone saw him nervously pull his phone out of his pocket and slid it away to answer it, his hands shaking. I was a little embarrassed. Well, I'm going to have a physical examination at the second hospital. Don't make this mess. In the next second, Payne Flynn's bitter face relaxed, and her smile even revealed a little silly, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. My lover didn't leave. She called me and scolded me. How cheerful he said that last sentence was. How shocked the reporters and onlookers were. The gossip of the day was spread, Payne Flynn's sassy girlfriend, and, does Payne Flynn have a tendency to shake M? I waited in the hospital hallway for Payne Flynn. After the examination, the doctor reminded me that everything was normal, and tactfully advised me, saying that if I still felt that there was a problem, I would do psychological counseling. Payne Flynn started running from afar, and when she rushed in front of me, she was thankfully reduced in force, otherwise I would have been hit by this big dog. I saw Bowen Reed behind him, and the links that I couldn't figure out before were slowly coming together. Bowen Reed took the lead and forcefully broke Payne Flynn's clingy guy away. You guessed that right, I'm awake too. When I was shocked, I thought I was the only one awakened. Bowen Reed looked a little embarrassed after crashing his car. He actually had this awareness. It's just that it was still affected by the original plot at the time. She said and spat fiercely, what kind of garbage lines, causing the old lady to pick the ground with her toes while talking. I was blinded, then you later. I found out that night. Payne Flynn and you didn't follow the story. What's more, this guy's eyes are about to overflow with honey when he looks at you. That is, you are sluggish and do not notice. She shrugged and continued. So I'm working with him. The plot forced me to come into contact, and we went against it and caught it off guard. Did you succeed? I looked at Payne Flynn beside me, and already had the answer in my mind. Bowen Reed's face was full of pride, of course. How could a mere novel trap me? Besides, Payne Flynn isn't my type at all. The plot is completely lifted. Bowen Reed tilted his head and smiled at me, glistening in the sun. There's no boss and little white flower. And there's no stupid plot of her running away from him. The male protagonist finally mustered up the courage to confess to the family doctor he had been secretly in love with for a long time. And the female protagonist, who has a successful career, supports 18 male models in one go. That's the perfect ending I wanted. Bowen Reed winked at me, turned and disappeared around the corner of the hospital corridor. Oh, the light and shadow blurred her figure, but I knew that no matter which direction she went, she was the real heroine at the moment. And as for the male protagonist, I glanced at Payne Flynn, who was sticking to me and playing with my fingers. So, you've been plotting against me since you hired me as a family doctor, right? Payne Flynn nodded. I scratched my head. I'm just a passerby. What do you like about me? Payne Flynn was stunned for a moment, very sincerely. I don't know. I'm just looking at you. I was thinking, how can there be such a good-looking person? So I want to kiss. The way you sneak into the fish is cute. The concentration that I was giving was lovely. There was also a cute time when I sneaked into the kitchen in the middle of the night to cook instant noodles for myself and persuade me to eat healthily, and later divided half a bowl of noodles with me. It's an honor that I, a passerby who is willing to be mediocre, can also be the protagonist? Payne Flynn gilded me with love. He walked towards me step by step, trampling the absurd plot under his feet. Payne Flynn scratched her head. I can only say the word cute. Isn't it too scarce? He lowered his eyes. Bowen Reed woke up and told me everything. And it was exactly what she said. I just thought it was ridiculous at first. Payne Flynn looked a little aggrieved. If I'm really the male protagonist, how can I be affected by the so-called plot, and forget who I really like? If I'm really the male lead, then I like you, and you're not a passerby. You're my heroine. I smiled, and in his sparkling eyes, I lowered my head and dropped a kiss on his lips. The end.